You think you escaped your mother's pain, but it's already shaping your relationships, your desires, your silence. The wound you inherited is older than you, deeper than memory, and it bends your life in the same direction hers broke. And here's where it gets dark. There is a hidden pattern, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. The truth is brutal. You are repeating her unfinished battles, her fears, her self-sacrifice, and the world around you, jealous co-workers, needy friends, emotional parasites, feeds on that weakness. But there is a way to become untouchable. But that's only where the damage starts. Mother wounds repeat destiny, break her trauma, or live her life. Your shadow is carrying her scars. You've carried this wound for so long, you stopped calling it a wound. It became your personality, your quiet voice, your apologetic smile, your instinct to shrink first, speak later. Every time someone raises their voice, you flinch, not because of the present moment, but because an older echo still lives in your bones. The mother wound isn't a scar. Scars close. This one breathes. It reacts. It whispers. It pulls you toward the same patterns she drowned in. And here's the part most people never admit. You don't just inherit your mother's genetics. You inherit her unfinished fears. The fear of abandonment, the fear of disappointing others, the fear of being too much, the fear of being unloved unless you perform. This is why you over-explain. This is why you try to fix everyone's emotions. This is why you choose people who treat you like you treated her. Caretaker, rescuer, emotional sponge. You grew up trying to rescue a woman who couldn't rescue herself. So now you choose lovers, friends, and co-workers who replay that story because your nervous system is addicted to familiar pain. Here's where it gets dark. The world smells this wound on you. Emotional parasites, manipulators, people who want your energy without ever offering theirs. They don't consciously understand it, but they recognize the softness, the compliance, the guilt programmed into you. They know you'll apologize even when the knife isn't in your hand. You learned early that love is earned by suffering, and now you confuse chaos with connection. You think you're choosing them, but the wound is choosing for you. Most people never realize this. Most people spend their entire lives reenacting their mother's unlived life, her loneliness, her patterns, her self-abandonment, thinking it's fate, not programming. But you're not broken. You're repeating a script written long before you had a choice. The real question, who wrote the ending? That's the hook your shadow has been waiting for. Because the wound isn't just emotional, it's psychological architecture. And if you don't understand its structure, you'll keep building your life on the same collapsing foundation. And that's exactly where the truth begins to turn dangerous. The wound didn't start with you. It started in the shadow. Not the mystical shadow people romanticize, the real one, the vault of everything your mother couldn't face, and everything she handed to you without meaning to. The shadow is not darkness, it's storage. It's the archive of her unspoken resentment, her crushed dreams, her unprocessed rage, her guilt for the life she never got to live. She hid it behind loud smiles and quiet sacrifices, but shadows don't stay buried, they look for heirs. Here's where it gets dark. A mother doesn't just raise a child. She transfers her unlived life like a spiritual debt. Her silence becomes your hesitation. Her bitterness becomes your self-doubt. Her emotional hunger becomes your pattern of overgiving. Her swallowed screams become your anxiety. And the world outside, it weaponizes these pieces the moment you step into it. Fake friends project their insecurities onto you because they sense you'll absorb it. Jealous co-workers push their failures onto you because they know you won't strike back. Manipulators target you because your persona, your carefully crafted mask, signals compliance, humility, softness. The persona is the costume you built as a child to stay safe. Polite, pleasant, low maintenance, the good one. But the persona always demands a sacrifice. To keep it alive, you must abandon the parts of you that don't fit the script. Strength, desire, ambition, anger, boundaries. Those pieces sink into the shadow, and that's how the wound tightens. Here's the secret nobody tells you. Your persona attracts your enemies. People treat you according to the mask you wear, not the power you hide. If you present yourself as the caretaker, the world sends you the broken. If you present yourself as the forgiver, the world sends you the transgressors. If you present yourself as the soft one, the world sends you the predators. You are living inside a psychological loop built from two forces, the shadow you inherited and the persona you created to survive it. But the most dangerous piece is projection. Projection is psychological warfare disguised as innocence. People throw their unhealed wounds onto you because you were raised to catch everything. Your mother's emotional storms trained you to stand still while someone else collapses. So now, when others blame you, guilt trip you, or twist your words, you believe they must be right. But projection is never about you. It's their shadow clawing for a host, and the wound makes you the perfect host. The collective unconscious, the hidden world of ancient patterns, doesn't care about fairness. It cares about repetition. Families repeat what they refuse to face. Daughters become mirrors, sons become shields. Children become vessels for dreams never lived and pains never spoken. That's the oppressive truth behind the mother wound. You are living inside her unfinished story. Most people think they make choices freely. They don't. They obey psychological ghosts. Here's the disturbing twist. The moment you start healing, the world around you gets hostile. Because the manipulators who fed on your softness, they sense the shift before you do. And this is where the story turns into something far more threatening. There's a truth most people will never face. The world benefits from your wound staying open. Your silence keeps the peace. Your guilt keeps the relationships intact. Your people-pleasing keeps others comfortable. Your self-abandonment keeps the manipulators fed. Slow zoom inward. Every time you hesitate, someone else gets stronger. Every time you apologize for breathing, someone else feels justified in taking more from you. And here's where it gets darker. People who depend on your softness don't want you healed, because a healed version of you becomes unpredictable, less compliant, less available, less easy to control. They'll sense the moment you stop carrying emotional weight that doesn't belong to you. They'll test you with coldness, then guilt, then anger, because losing access to your energy feels, to them, like losing oxygen. Envy plays its own role too. Not the loud envy you can see, the quiet envy that wants to watch you collapse just enough to stay relatable. People love your strength until it threatens their excuses. They love your loyalty until it highlights their cowardice. They love your kindness until it stops serving them. And projection, it becomes a toxin, a weapon, a subtle dagger slipped between your ribs with a smile. Why are you so sensitive? You're imagining things. You're overreacting. They don't want clarity. They want you confused, because confusion keeps you controllable. The disturbing truth is this: your growth will expose the immaturity in others. Your healing will force them to confront what they've avoided. And most people would rather attack you than face themselves. This is why the wound repeats, not because you fail, but because the world around you is invested in your repetition. But here's the hook your unconscious has been waiting for. Once you understand this mechanism, you can turn the wound into something no one expects, a weapon that no longer cuts you, but cuts the cycle itself. Transformation doesn't begin with forgiveness. It begins with disruption. The moment you stop performing the role you were trained to play, the entire psychological ecosystem around you trembles. The manipulators lose their advantage. The parasites lose their host. The projection artists lose their canvas. You don't heal by becoming softer. You heal by becoming clearer. And clarity is terrifying to those who fed on your confusion. The first shift is stillness. Not passivity, stillness. The kind of internal calm that makes the room feel colder when you enter. You stop rushing to soothe everyone. You stop explaining your intentions. You stop chasing validation like a child tugging at a sleeve. Stillness is dangerous. It signals that your nervous system is no longer programmable. And here's where it gets dark. People who relied on your emotional volatility, your quick guilt, your instant apologies, won't know what to do with this silence. The second shift is weaponized silence. Not cruel, not manipulative, strategic. You don't argue with projection. You don't negotiate with emotional blackmail. You don't respond to guilt traps. You let the silence hold the mirror. Most people cannot stand the reflection. They break before you do. The third shift is results-driven comeback. You stop announcing your improvement. You simply act. You create the life your mother never realized she deserved. Not to spite her, but to break the generational curse that tried to swallow you. And the world feels this. Success exposes jealousy faster than failure ever did. People who once dismissed you will suddenly treat you like a threat. Good. Threatening is the first step to being respected. The fourth shift is boundary as ritual. Boundaries aren't sentences, they're behaviors. You withdraw access. You control your time. You refuse to carry emotional debris that wasn't yours. A boundary is a door with a guard, and for the first time in your life, the guard is you. This is when the mother wound stops being a script and becomes a weapon, one you can turn outward, cutting away everything that kept you small. But transformation comes with a cost, because once you awaken this power, another battle begins, not with others, but inside you. The world is easier to fight than yourself. Enemies outside are predictable. Enemies inside adapt. The moment you rise, the shadow rises with you. Not as an enemy, as the part of you that remembers every wound you've ever survived. It whispers old lines you thought you outgrew. You're abandoning her. You're being selfish. You don't deserve this strength. That's not who you are. But here's the dark truth. Those voices are not your conscience. They're echoes of the role you were trained to play. You used to shrink to earn safety. Now you expand to create it. You used to apologize to keep the peace. Now your silence is the peace. They tested your old self. You answered with a version they never expected. The inner battle isn't a war of good versus evil. It's a war of loyalty. Your loyalty to the person you were versus your loyalty to the person you're becoming. The unlived life, the one your mother never got to touch, pulls at you like a tide. It wants expression. It wants breath. It wants revenge against the years swallowed by survival. But the child in you, conditioned to protect her, resists. It fears surpassing the one who raised you. It fears betraying the woman you were taught to save. It fears becoming larger than the story. This is where the psychological tension tightens. To heal the wound, you must break the contract you never agreed to sign. You must stop living for her ghost and start living for your future self. And this shift rattles everything. Your habits, your relationships, your self-image. The shadow doesn't want to disappear. It wants to be integrated, seen, acknowledged, used. The battle ends not when you destroy the shadow, but when you realize it was never trying to destroy you. It was trying to show you what you feared to claim. But once you see this, once you face the truth behind the shadow's grip, another revelation emerges, one that changes the entire path. And that revelation is what turns healing into destiny. Moving forward isn't about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that were exiled to keep the family system stable. The path begins when you realize this. Every boundary you set rewrites the entire lineage. Every silence you choose recalibrates the balance of power. Every act of self-respect disrupts generations of self-abandonment. You're not healing alone. You're healing the version of your mother who never knew how. Here's where the philosophy sharpens. Boundaries are not walls. They are currency. You spend them where energy must be conserved. You invest them where your future depends on clarity. You withhold them where access must be earned. Silence becomes strategy, not avoidance, alignment. Silence lets the truth echo without interference. It exposes who listens and who manipulates. It reveals who respects you and who only respected your compliance. And hate becomes signal. When people resent your growth, it means you've moved beyond the role they assigned you. It's not a problem. It's a compass pointing to your expansion. The practical path begins small, almost invisible. Step 1. Choose one behavior today you will no longer perform for anyone. No justification, no apology. Step 2. Identify one place where your silence has power and use it deliberately. Step 3. Withdraw emotional labor from someone who has never reciprocated it and watch how quickly their true nature reveals itself. This is how energy shifts. not through grand gestures, but through small acts of self-loyalty repeated until the old pattern breaks. You'll feel resistance, internally, externally. That's the wound fighting to stay alive. But the moment you hold your ground, the moment you refuse to resume the role, the entire system around you reconfigures. And that is the beginning of sovereignty. But there is one final twist, one truth that turns the entire journey upside down and forces you to see the mother wound in a way most people never dare.